Water is essential. It flows through our city, helps produce the food we eat, and keeps us alive. Yet it's this necessity, water, that's thrown a Portland family into a financial tailspin. Their bank accounts frozen because of an unpaid Portland water bill.
If you don't pay us, we're gonna come after you. I mean, this feels mobster. I'm gonna cut off everything you have. And that's a lot for water.
The unpaid bill dates back to 2022, when Jennifer DeWitt and her husband Brent moved out of their rental home. Records show they owed the City of Portland Water Bureau roughly $1,100.
We just didn't have money to fight it at the time. And we thought, we'll take a hit on our credit. Obviously, it's gonna take our credit score some, but when we break even, we'll start digging ourselves back out like we always do.
The couple knew the bill would end up in collections, and it did, racking up interest and fees. But then, the unexpected. In May, Brent discovered he couldn't access any money to put gas in the car.
How can my accounts be frozen?
His bank warned the family's funds were on hold, along with Brent's disabled mother and adult daughter. Their money was frozen too, because Brent and his wife are connected to their bank accounts.
I wasn't even aware something like this could happen over a water bill.
And it's literally like everything's frozen.
Just frozen. We cannot touch it whatsoever. We have no access to our money.
If you want to buy a gallon of milk.
No, we can't. Unless he goes and donates plasma, unless my husband goes and donates plasma. I'm not eligible to donate right now, but unless he goes and donates plasma, that's the only money we can get to eat.
It turned out the private debt collector contracted by the city, Ray Klein Inc., or Professional Credit Services, tried to garnish the DeWitt's bank accounts to pay off that old water bill. The banks had frozen the accounts while processing payment. There was no warning from the debt collector or the bank, and the city was no help, claiming it was out of their hands.
We've emailed, called, paper mailed all of these offices begging for, please don't do this to us.
In a series of reports over the past few years called The Cost of Collections, KGW has examined the aggressive tactics used by City Hall to force people to pay up, and how the punitive nature of debt collection may be undermining Portland's own effort to keep residents housed, employed, and able to meet their essential needs.
But I don't understand why keep squeezing us till we lose everything. Is that really necessary for us to lose absolutely everything?
The City of Portland regularly turns delinquent water bills over to a private debt collector who uses methods like lawsuits and garnishment of wages to collect debts. From 2017 to March of 2024, the Water Bureau sent more than 16,000 delinquent accounts to collections. In all, the unpaid bills totaled more than $15.7 million. Of those delinquent funds, roughly 18% was recovered.
Which raises the question, is it worth it? Wreaking havoc in the lives of people who owe old water bills by sending them to collections only to recover a small portion of what's owed.
In 2022, city auditors questioned how various bureaus, including the Water Bureau, collected money. The audit recommended a more consistent and thoughtful process in sending people to collections. But those citywide recommendations were not implemented. KGW requested an interview with Director Gabe Solmer about the Water Bureau's use of a third-party debt collector. After 3 weeks of repeated emails and phone calls, the Water Bureau's director declined to speak with us or address the harmful impact of debt collection on Portland families. Instead, a spokesperson issued a written statement describing how the Water Bureau helps with payment options, financial assistance, and water efficiency tools. Quote, "We care about our customers and have many ways to support those facing financial hardships. But that still doesn't address those cash-strapped households who've had their closed, unpaid accounts that have been sent to collections."
We can't fight back.
4 weeks after their accounts were frozen, the DeWitts finally got access to their money after the debt collector garnished the amount owed, along with penalties and interest.
I'm not a jerk. I'm not trying to steal from the city.
This family understands the city's need to fund the services it provides, but feels it should do so fairly and not cause harm to the people it serves, arguing there should be limits on how far the city will go to try and collect an overdue water bill.
I'm heartbroken that this is over water. I'm not going to lie. It hurts. This is water.
Kyle's with me now, and this is a heartbreaking story, but what other options does the city have? If there's no penalties, people don't pay.
Right. There are alternatives, though. There's debt forgiveness. Some cities offer amnesty for low-income payers. Also, the city can provides some restrictions on debt collection, some guardrails, if you will. When debt can be collected, what these debt collectors can do. Even during the pandemic, the city didn't send people to debt collection at the time. So we've seen this happen before, where they say, let's step back a little bit.
I remember talking to Mingus Maps a year or two ago. He was the commissioner in charge of the Water Bureau, and he really personally felt really bad that all these people owed all this money. Isn't there anything else the city can do?
So in talking to the Water Bureau, they really work hard to help those who have fallen behind on their water bills. They provide all kinds of resources and payment plans, that type of thing. The problem is that next chapter, when basically people have shut down their account, it's closed, and then it's sent on to debt collectors. There's really nothing that the city can do, or they say there's nothing they can do, and so it's kind of a hands-off approach at that point. And that's what's really frustrating, because there's nobody standing up for the consumer at that point. It's just them against the debt collector, and we've seen the aggressive tactics these debt collectors use.
Yeah, that's rough. Okay, and there's just nothing the city can do?
So here's what's interesting.
They can freeze you, yeah?
Right. In this case, you've got a debt collector that's really aggressive, looking to wipe out somebody's bank account. Yeah. That's going to change in January. The state legislature actually took action on this to help protect consumers. Again, it doesn't go into effect until January, so it doesn't help this family. But essentially, debt collectors can no longer go in and wipe out somebody's entire bank account. It leaves $2,500 in there. So there's a threshold. So basically, they can pay for things like gasoline and food.
Rent.
In the meantime.
Yeah, okay. Interesting stuff, and wow, what a mess. All right, thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you bringing that to us. So now it's your turn. What do you think about this latest installment of Cost of Collections? Should consumers be given more leeway, or do you think what the Water Bureau is doing is okay and justified? Email us, will you? Let us know what you think. The address is thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail. The number is 503-226-5090.